At the wedding, Holt dumped me and went running to his first love. Just as I was about to become the laughingstock of the entire industry. I pointed at Holt's longtime rival, Stephen. "Aren't you the one who's always said you wanted to marry me?" Holt called me, yelling that I was shameless. Stephen wrapped his arm around my waist and shot back angrily. "A jerk like you doesn't deserve her. Get lost and stay as far away as possible." The moment he finished speaking, he kissed me, hard. 01. On the day of the wedding, I became a bride without a groom. Holt disappeared without a word. The crowd below was packed, all high society elites from the business world. Each of them smiling politely at me. They looked refined, but the pity and mockery in their eyes felt like sharp slaps across my face. It was humiliating. Holt's so-called bros didn't even bother to hide their sneers. A stand-in is just a stand-in. The boss was just having fun. She was so desperate and ended up with nothing. Serves her right. Her family went bankrupt, her parents are dead, yet she still thinks she's some kind of princess. What do you think? Should we just drag her straight to the bridal suite? I bet the boss wouldn't care. Honestly, I've been wanting to sleep with her for ages. I knew they never respected me. They thought someone like me, broke and fallen from grace, wasn't worthy of someone as rich and powerful as Holt. I forced a smile and tried to calm the guests, while dialing Holt's number over and over. No answer. Busy signal. Call rejected. Then his phone was suddenly turned off. I gave a bitter laugh. I had a bad feeling about this wedding from the start. But I never imagined Holt would make such a cruel joke out of it. When I finally turned off my phone, one of Holt's friends waved his own phone at me with a wicked grin. I leaned in and froze. Holt's first love had just posted something on her social feed. A girl I had never met, yet she was everywhere. She was the one always standing between me and Holt. Just hearing her name was enough to give me nightmares. She wrote, "Thank you for coming all this way to be with me. The mountains and oceans can't be moved, but love can cross them all." The photo showed two hands tightly intertwined. Her delicate hand was completely wrapped in a much larger one. Her skin was pale and slender, the kind that made people ache just looking at it. And on the man's pinky finger, there was a faint scar. I recognized it. It was Holt's hand. Even through a screen, I could feel how tenderly he held her. How much he loved her. I couldn't help myself, I scrolled down. She wrote again. "I'm so heartbroken." The photo was of two framed portraits, middle-aged parents. A funeral photo. Holt had replied in the comments. "Wait for me." So, her parents had just died in a car accident. And Holt had flown across the ocean overnight, over 10,000 kilometers, to be with her in another country. So that's what he meant last night when he said, "It's bad luck for the bride and groom to see each other before the wedding." I even laughed at him for being superstitious. I thought he was just looking forward to the wedding. That he wanted us to be happy and grow old together. But now, I realize it was all a lie. A beautiful lie to cover up the fact that he left me to run to her. I lowered my eyes. Tears fell. He could have just told me. Why stand me up at the altar, make me the butt of everyone's jokes? Leave me standing there like some shameless homewrecker? Was he afraid I'd cling to him and refuse to let go? I'd been with Holt for 10 years. From 18 to 28. From naive and bright-eyed to calm and sensible. I was the perfect little canary, obedient, well-mannered, never stepping out of line. I loved him with all I had. But in the end, I became anxious, insecure, depressed. Mentally and physically wrecked. I turned into someone I didn't even recognize. Someone I hated. The wedding ring slipped from my hand and hit the floor. I had worked part-time for 2 years just to afford that ring. 30,000 yuan, every penny saved through cutting corners. I knew Holt didn't like it. But it was my stubborn way of showing how much I cared. I thought that giving everything I had would make him happy. Just like every detail of this wedding. I designed it all myself. He was busy with work, and I never once complained. I wiped my tears and took a deep breath. With that breath, I let go of the obsession I'd held onto for years. If some people aren't meant to be yours, then it's time to stop forcing it. Holt's friend was still grinning at me with that smug look. He didn't say a word. But I understood him clearly. He thought I was a loser. I lifted the corners of my lips and gave him a calm, cold smile. Then I looked across the crowd. My eyes landing on a handsome, noble-looking man standing in the corner. I pointed at him casually. "Will you marry me?" 02. The man was stunned. I recognized him. He was Holt's biggest rival, Stephen. I didn't understand why his breathing suddenly turned heavy. Before I could react, Stephen had already walked up onto the stage and, like performing a magic trick, pulled out a black velvet box. Inside were a pair of rings, simple yet elegant. Not too big, not too small. The one he slid onto my ring finger fit perfectly. Me. Bringing engagement rings to your enemy's wedding, what kind of move is that? I hadn't figured it out yet when Stephen wrapped his arm around my waist and gently took my slightly trembling right hand. His palm was broad and steady. The warmth from it spread into my hand, mixing with the nervous sweat. He looked straight ahead, not even glancing at me, but his smile was calm and pleasant. His voice was warm like a spring breeze, and for some reason, it calmed my heart. "Amy, look at the camera. I won't let you lose today." This time it was my turn to be stunned. Holt's friends were all in shock, jaws nearly hitting the floor. If I remembered correctly, this was the first time Stephen had ever spoken to me. After the ceremony ended, Stephen finally let go of my hand. I rubbed my sore fingers and stuffed a bank card into his suit pocket. "There's 100,000 on here. Thank you for today, Mr. Stephen. I know I shouldn't have used you, but I heard socialites in the capital keep crowding around your house. So I've helped you out too. Now things should quiet down for you. You're welcome." With that, I turned to leave. Maybe it was out of spite, maybe revenge, whatever the reason, I ended up choosing Stephen to play the groom today. But really, I just didn't want to walk away humiliated. As for Stephen, what could be more satisfying than making your rival's woman stand by your side? So I figured it was a fair deal. But I couldn't understand why Stephen stopped me. I held back my irritation and explained patiently, "That's all I have. The 100,000 was the only money I'd managed to save in secret. Even though Holt had given me a lot, I never touched a cent. It all stayed in the bottom drawer of my closet." Stephen, however, looked angry. He grabbed my wrist and backed me into a corner, towering over me with a dark, unreadable expression in his eyes. "Amy, now that you've involved me, you can't just walk away. The whole world saw today, I'm your man now. You need to take responsibility." I frowned, staring at Stephen in confusion. He was a head and a half taller than me. His eyes were deep, like a bottomless spring, so dark I couldn't read what was in them. He didn't say I was his woman. He said he was my man. "Mr. Stephen, what do you mean by that?" "Exactly what it sounds like." 03. On the drive, Stephen said nothing. He didn't explain that strange conversation either. Yes. He had pushed me into a luxury Rolls-Royce in front of everyone. Turns out, when a woman tries to resist a man's strength, it hardly matters. I'd heard a lot about Stephen from Holt, and I'd seen him once or twice at business galas. He was a business prodigy, ruthless, sharp, and famously indifferent toward women. Holt hated him with a passion. Every deal Holt wanted, Stephen would swoop in, crush the competition, and walk away the winner. The black Rolls-Royce pulled into the neighborhood and stopped in front of my apartment building. I got out of the car like I was escaping. The confined space had felt suffocating. Stephen rolled down the window and quietly stared at me. "You're not inviting me up?" His voice was calm, but I sensed something urgent, maybe even dangerous. Any adult would understand what he was implying. Suddenly, I got angry. I walked up quickly, reached through the window, grabbed his tie, and leaned in. Steven, I don't know what you're trying to do, but this isn't funny. You helped me today, and I've already thanked you. Don't push your luck. Or do you think taking Holt's woman is some kind of prize? We were face to face. Nose to nose, eyes locked. Tension filled the air between us. I saw Steven's ears flush red. He swallowed and, after a moment, gently pried my fingers off one by one and got out of the car. Amy, is that really what you think of me? Your sharp little claws shouldn't be used on me. Maybe it was my imagination, but for a moment, I thought I saw something like hurt or disappointment in his eyes. But before I could confirm it, Steven had returned to his usual gentle self. He sighed and patted my head. But I get it. Still, giving up the whole forest for one crooked tree, not the smartest move. I avoided his hand. Was this a confession, or a trap? The street lamp cast a soft glow on Steven's face. The broken shadows flickered in his eyes, carrying a spark of hope. My confusion and caution grew. We'd only known each other for 3 hours. Was he pretending just to lure me into a romantic trap and show off later? Or was it something else? Either way, I had just escaped one painful situation, my heart wasn't ready for another. From now on, I only wanted to love myself. I wasn't going to be anyone's sacrifice again. I was about to speak, but Steven's teasing voice cut in. I'm just messing with you. Look how scared you are. By the way, Amy, you're really easy to trick. You jerk. I tried to hit him, but he grabbed my wrist. With a sharp pull, I fell into his arms. His heartbeat was fast but steady. As we stood locked in this awkward moment, my phone buzzed with a WeChat message. It was Holt, tagging me non-stop in his group chat. Amy, impressive. I really underestimated you, bringing my rival into this stunt. If I'd shown up at the wedding, were you planning to stage a dramatic showdown? You've got 10 minutes. Get back here. Now. 04. Ha, he finally turned his phone back on. Finished comforting his precious white moonlight and finally has time for me now. I crouched on the ground, leaning against the car door, letting the cold wind whip past me. One by one, I scrolled through Holt's chat history with his buddies. Someone had posted a photo of Steven and me exchanging rings at the wedding. Boss, I told you long ago, this kind of woman who flirts with everyone is only good for fun. You think the boss wanted her? If she hadn't been following him around like a dog, throwing herself at him, he wouldn't have bothered. But hey, gotta admit, Amy's figure is something else. Curves in all the right places, I've never seen a woman more built than her. They mocked me freely, and Holt didn't say a single word in my defense. He knew I was in the group. He knew I'd see this. When I finally exited the chat, I realized Holt had sent me a private message, at some point. He rarely ever messaged me. Amy, being dramatic again? I'm exhausted, and now you pull this stunt. Holt family stock dropped 30% because of your little tantrum. Happy now? Say something. Apologize and explain publicly that the wedding mess was all you're doing, and I might consider giving you a second chance. Otherwise, you'll never step foot in the Holt house again. Signal had been bad in the tunnel earlier, so I didn't hear the notifications. Maybe when he saw I wasn't replying, he panicked and started tagging me like crazy in the group chat. Marrying him had been my obsession for 10 years. He knew me too well, knew I wouldn't let go. That's why he thought he could humiliate me like this in front of his friends. But not anymore. I was done. My heart ached, and the future felt uncertain, but I didn't regret anything. I wasn't giving him another chance to hurt me. I replied in the group chat. Holt, thanks for the offer. Save it for your white moonlight. Holt fired back. Amy, you're getting bold now. You dare defy me. He used more punctuation today than he had in the past 10 years combined. His buddies jumped back in with more sarcasm. Here we go again. Playing hard to get. I bet she'll crawl back within 3 days. I say 1 day. Loser pays $1 million. You're all wrong, Holt said. I give it an hour. I let out a bitter laugh, tears blurring my vision. Holt had always been that confident. Too bad, this time, he was wrong. I wasn't going back. Ever. I left the group, blocked him, turned off my phone, and looked straight at Steven. Want to come over? Steven blinked. Ha! I clenched my fists, hesitated for a beat. My place. I'm alone tonight. 05. The apartment was dark, lit only by the moonlight outside. At the entrance, Steven and I were locked in a deep kiss. He pressed me gently against the wall, raising my hands above my head. One hand braced the back of my head protectively. He said he didn't want me to bump it. I didn't know why, but my eyes suddenly filled with tears. Maybe because no one had ever treated me so gently before. His kisses trailed along my neck, my cheek, then to my earlobe. Finally, they stopped at my eyes. Careful, tender, almost reverent. Like I was something he had treasured for years but never dared to reach for. Amy, is this okay? Steven's voice was soft, his touch considerate. So different from Holt, who had always been rough, never asking what I wanted, never caring if I was happy or hurting. He'd always said I was too much trouble. Said foreplay bored him. I bit my lip, my expression complex. But I knew, I was smiling at Steven. At least a little grateful, a little soft. If you like it, say it. You don't have to hold back with me. His breathing grew heavier. Just as my long dress was being lifted, my phone started buzzing. It was Holt. I didn't want to answer. But he kept calling. Over and over. It was laughable, really. Men, when you chase them, they're annoyed. But when you pull away, they suddenly can't let go. Annoyed, I turned off my phone. Just as my hand reached Steven's waist, his phone rang. Steven frowned slightly but still picked up. Even through the screen, I could hear Holt's rage. Steven, where are you? Are you with Amy? I'm warning you, don't touch her. She's mine. She doesn't love you. She's just using you to get back at me. You're just a pawn in her little game. People always say women have strong intuition. But when men get serious, their gut instincts aren't that bad either. The dim light from the screen flickered in Steven's eyes. He froze, sounding hurt. Amy, is that true? I was stunned. Then a camera flash went off. Before I could react, Steven had already taken a selfie of us, and sent it to Holt. I buried my face in Steven's chest and heard him say calmly. Mr. Holt, calling someone at a time like this is rather rude. Amy, shall we continue? He hung up, then gently carried me to the bed. Hovering above me, he held himself 10 centimeters away. Close enough to continue, but far enough to stop. Amy, you still have a choice. I knew what he meant. He was waiting for my answer, afraid I'd regret it. We had only met a few times. Everyone said Steven was cold and ruthless, unmoved by women. Yet here he was, treating me with the utmost tenderness. My tears fell onto the pillow. And in that moment, something in me let go. I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed him. It was just one night, a person beside the pillow. It had nothing to do with love. Even less with marriage. The past 10 years had been too painful. Let me be reckless, just this once. Besides, the man in front of me was tall, handsome, broad-shouldered, with an 8-pack. No regrets. 05. When I woke up the next morning, the sun was already high in the sky. It had been so long since I last slept this peacefully. Surprisingly, I didn't feel sore or exhausted at all, on the contrary, I felt refreshed. Only after last night did I realize how beautiful that experience could be. Intoxicating. Holt, you really were disappointing. Early that morning, Steven looked at me with a smile. Holt wants to know what you're going to do with the stuff at the villa. He says you need to go pack it up yourself. So, are you going? Strange. Stephen looked like he really didn't want me to go. After all, I had spent 10 years with Holt. The villa only had the clothes, bags, and jewelry he bought me, plus a few basic things. He wasn't asking me to go clean up, he was trying to give me an excuse to apologize and come crawling back. I hugged the blanket and slowly sat up, expressionless. Tell him to throw it all away. Stephen visibly let out a sigh of relief. I shot him a look. Anything else? That was as clear a hint as I could give for him to leave. Stephen finally got up. After slipping on a robe, he leaned against the doorway and asked me seriously. Amy, what are we, exactly? I froze for a moment and swallowed awkwardly. What do you think? We're just friends with benefits. If you ever want it again, we can meet up anytime. Honestly, you're pretty good at it. Stephen didn't move, but his expression darkened instantly. Amy, that's cold. Then, without looking back, he turned and walked away. I watched his back as he left and heard the door slam shut. And somehow, I felt relieved. I won't deny I enjoyed his amazing physique, he had stamina for days. Way better than Holt ever was. Last night, he held me so tightly it was almost hard to breathe, like he needed me to become a part of him. Be with me, Amy. I'll make you happy from now on. His words echoed in my head. I didn't respond. I knew he was genuine. But the truth is, I was using him. If I kept dragging him into this, it would be unfair. And love hurts too much. I wasn't going to touch that again. After getting ready, I headed out for work. I chose a high-neck sweater on purpose to hide the marks on my neck. The last thing I wanted was office gossip. But just as I opened the door, I came face to face with Stephen. One hand held a breakfast bag, the other was raised, about to knock. Didn't he leave already? Did he go out just to buy me breakfast? Stephen looked down, clearly displeased. Where are you going? Amy, don't tell me you're running back to Holt again. His tone was sharp, and I froze. For a moment, I couldn't say a word. 06. Before I could answer, Stephen stormed into the living room, dragged me over, and sat me down at the dining table. Hey! I need to get to work. You were just going to skip breakfast and rush off? Are you trying to ruin your stomach? Only then did his expression soften a little. While pouring warm tofu pudding into a bowl, he scolded me like an older brother. Seriously, do we even know each other that well? Do you really have to meddle in everything? Stephen shot me a frown, then suddenly spun my chair so I was directly facing him. He braced both arms on the back of my chair, boxing me in, and reached for the buttons on my coat. Miss Amy, do you need me to remind you just how close we got last night? Startled, I quickly stopped him. Okay. I'll eat. Happy now. In broad daylight, what on earth was he trying to do? No, what was I even thinking? But the moment he placed that steaming bowl of tofu pudding in front of me, I froze. No cilantro. Just a touch of garlic. A rich sesame sauce. Stephen tore a piece of fried dough stick into smaller bits and soaked them in the soup. Hurry up and eat. The dough will go soggy if it sits too long. Wait, how did he know I liked it that way? I scooped a spoonful, tasting it carefully. Is this from that shop on Old Street? That familiar taste, I hadn't had it in ages. When I was a kid, my parents used to take me there all the time. After they passed away, I never went back. I thought the shop had closed down. Stephen nodded. As long as you like it. I was worried the flavor might change if it got cold, but looks like it's fine. I set my spoon down and tilted my head, staring at him. Something about him felt off. How did he know so much about me? Maybe I stared too long. He started avoiding my gaze. I'll go rinse some strawberries. Helps cut the richness. With that, he practically fled into the kitchen. Watching him move around, I slowly took a few more bites of the tofu. Then I asked calmly, "Steven, how did you know I have stomach problems?" He didn't turn around, but I noticed the tension in his shoulders. "There was this one banquet. I accidentally saw Holt's driver taking you to the hospital. He said you had stomach bleeding." I thought hard. There was a time like that. 3 years ago, Holt's company was facing some setbacks. At a banquet, he had to network and curry favor, so people kept pressuring him to drink. I was afraid he'd get drunk, so I drank on his behalf. Steven was right, I had completely forgotten. But, did he really accidentally see that? The tofu pudding was smooth and warm. I finished the whole bowl. Holt had always looked down on food like this. Said it lacked elegance, unlike toast or Western-style breakfasts. He even criticized me for eating garlic. "Amy, is this how a proper lady behaves? The people around me are all elite and respectable. Can you not embarrass me?" So for 8 years, I never touched it again. Honestly, you can tell whether someone loves you by the little things. Or more precisely, since my family went bankrupt, Holt had never truly respected me again. 10 years, I remembered every little thing he liked. But he wanted me to erase everything I liked for his sake. Thinking back, I realize how foolish I was. Thankfully, I've moved on. What's this? You're getting emotional? Steven leaned against the wall, holding a plate of strawberries. His hands were a little pale from gripping it for too long. "Steven, how long have you been watching me?" "A long time." He walked over, popped a strawberry into my mouth, and gently wiped a tear from the corner of my eye. "Amy, what I said last night still stands. Whenever you're ready, I'll be here." I nearly choked. Steven panicked and started patting my back. Then he used the Heimlich method to help me cough the strawberry out. My face turned completely red, but I still waved my hand frantically. "No way." He didn't get upset. "All right. No pressure. But pack your things, we're heading out." Before I could react, he pushed me into the bedroom, opened my closet, and pulled out a suitcase. "Where are we going?" "The Maldives." "I have work." "I'm not going." "I already talked to your boss and arranged time off for you." "You?" I was speechless and stomped my foot. "They're going to dock my pay." "I'll cover it." A second later, a notification dinged on my phone. "You've received 1 million yen on Alipay. 07. Money, if you can get it, why not take it?" But Steven wasn't exactly reliable when he said he'd take me to the Maldives. After going back and forth for over 2 weeks, we ended up at the Great Barrier Reef and then to the Arctic to see the Northern Lights. You girls like these things, right? Steven and I lay under the vast open sky, staring up at the endless stars. Who wouldn't like money, looks, and free time? Us workaholics, running around just to earn our meals, don't really qualify. I teased Steven. Since that night, though we stayed in the same hotel, same room, same bed, he hadn't touched me again. I understood, his time was valuable too. Whenever I woke in the middle of the night, I'd find him sitting under the dim light, working on his laptop. I knew it was daytime back home. And in these 20-some days, Holt hadn't contacted me. But his brothers kept apologizing to me. "Sis-in-law, the boss drank too much." That was the first time they called me sis-in-law. Late respect, what use was it now? "Sis-in-law, today's the boss's birthday. We've never seen him this lost. He said you never forget his birthday gifts, are they still on the way? Sis-in-law, why don't you message him soon? But please don't say it was us who got in touch." Messages kept pouring in. Well, from Holt and everyone else's perspective, our quarrels never lasted more than a week. When he ignored me, I'd seize the moment after his shower to cling to him, trying to please him. But now, I don't care anymore. I'm not in love. I replied simply, "Don't tell me about him anymore." Suddenly, a video call came through. I wanted to hang up but accidentally answered. The screen flipped, it looked like the phone was dropped. The private room's lighting was dim, and the noise was loud. I didn't see Holt, only heard his brothers shouting. Sis-in-law, the boss drank so much his stomach bled. He keeps calling your name, where are you? I laughed. If he's sick, take him to the hospital. Why call me? There was a loud crash, glass breaking. Then urgent shouting. Boss, your hand. You're bleeding. Damn it, get your manager here, or I'll bankrupt your place today. The chaos bored me, so I hung up. Sometimes I'd catch Holt on TV. He seemed to have landed several big deals again. In his business suit, confident and polished, his hair perfectly styled, speaking smoothly and confidently, he looked every bit the successful elite. I used to admire him a lot. But now, seeing him just made me feel indifferent, even a little like a stranger. Stephen wrapped his arm around my waist. Amy, a shooting star. Make a wish. I don't know why, on this quiet night, these thoughts came back to me. I swallowed my complicated feelings and smiled at Stephen. I don't like making wishes. They're hard to come true. I used to pray and beg gods, kneeling down, wishing Holt would look at me more. But trapped in that 10-year love, I ended up hurting myself while he ran after someone else. Now I've broken free. I've learned to love myself. And Holt's figure fades more and more in my heart, I'm happier and more at peace. Stephen didn't say a word. I watched him quietly stand, straighten up, kneel on the floor, close his eyes, and slowly press his palms together. Stephen, what are you wishing for? Why so sincere? 08. After coming back from abroad, I hurried straight to work. A lot of tasks had piled up, but surprisingly, my boss didn't get angry. Instead, he even gave me a raise. All right then. I guessed it was thanks to Stephen, but I still planned to work hard and prove my own worth. A career, unlike a man, will never abandon you. You get out of it what you put in. Late at night, big snowflakes were falling as I left the office, noticing the ground already covered in a thick layer of snow. I wanted to check the time, but my phone was dead. Sigh, the year-end rush, so busy I forgot everything. With my phone dead, I hadn't even noticed. Holding my bag with one hand shielding my head, I tightened my coat and hurried toward the bus stop. My boots crunched in the snow. The north wind cut like knives on my face, cold and sharp. Not far away, a white Bentley was quietly parked by the roadside, its window rolled down halfway. It was Holt. Our eyes met. I said nothing. He said nothing. I stopped walking. Bright red smoke rings from a cigarette stood out sharply against the white night sky. When did he learn to smoke? We just stared quietly at each other. After so long, he looked thinner. The car's heater must have been on high, as his breath alternated warm and cold, forming a mist around his face. He still didn't move. I knew he was waiting for me to speak first. He was giving me a way out. If I took the step, apologized, he'd probably stroke my head like before. Saying, "Don't do this again, or I won't want you anymore." I rubbed my frozen red hands, didn't look back, and turned to run into the swirling snow. But after only a few steps, a firm, harsh grip grabbed my wrist. "Amy, I've already scolded them." His tone was calm, as cold and distant as usual, without much sincerity. I shook off his arm. "Really? That's your business, not mine." I tried to walk away, but Holt pulled me close, pressing me against the car door. "Amy, I can understand you being upset, I left you behind, and you're unhappy. But I came to find you today, and I already gave you a way out." Holt seemed about to say more but hesitated, swallowing the words. He held me tightly so I couldn't get away. I looked up at him and said, "So what? You give me a way out, and I have to take it. Don't expect me to be that naive." To him, this was a huge favor. I had to accept it whether I wanted to or not. He must be seriously mistaken. Did he really think that whenever we fought, I'd just crawl back to him and beg? I pushed him away, trying to escape. But Holt grabbed both my hands, lifted them above my head, and slammed them against the car roof. Amy, you're mad at me because of Joy, right? I had nothing with her before, it was pure, not the dirty stuff you imagine. Her parents passed away, this is a big deal. Isn't it normal to feel that way? Can't you show some understanding? I laughed bitterly. So the living lose to the dead? Fine, I wish you both the best. You're made for each other. Just don't drag me into it. Holt suddenly exploded with anger. Amy! Was I too indulgent with you before? With your attitude now, I can only think you're jealous. That means you still care about me, still love me, right? His eyes darkened as he stared at me. I could see his hesitation and uncertainty. Beneath his indifferent tone was a trace of sadness. Why bother? Who was he trying to fool? I was speechless. Holt, I'm not joking, I truly wish you and Joy well. Holt slammed his fist on the car. Amy, how long do you plan to keep this up? I came to you and apologized. Don't go too far. That was the first time I'd seen Holt so angry. And it was because of me. What gave him the courage to think I was just throwing a tantrum? Maybe it was because I was the one who made the first move. When Joy went abroad and abandoned him, he got drunk. I gathered all my courage and went to him. That night, I was inexperienced. He turned me over, taking control. But it was just a moment of impulse. In the end, he coldly pushed me away. I thought I wasn't good enough and cried for a long time, determined to learn all the ways to please him. Maybe back then, he believed I'd spend my whole life trying to win his favor. Times change. Now, I no longer love him. I said quietly, Holt, I'm not throwing a tantrum, I've truly let go. This was the second time I called him by his full name. Holt's grip instantly loosened. He stiffened. After a long pause, he let out a breath. You! Amy, you can't hurt me like this. I'm not finished, I won't let you refuse me. His hold on my wrist was painfully tight. A sharp slap rang out in the air. Both Holt and I froze. Yes. I slapped him. Holt, I don't love you anymore. I have someone I like now. So please, show me some respect. I would never again be so low and desperate, tiptoeing around to please him and handle his moods. Love involves two people. But breaking up, one person's word is enough. Holt stared at me in shock, his eyes full of sadness. Suddenly, he leaned in, his sharp nose and handsome face brushing my neck and ear, my most sensitive spots. I shivered and pushed him away. Holt staggered back, nearly falling. Amy, so you slept with him? Damn it, did you really sleep with him? He's the one who pleased you like that, right? Answer me. Holt shouted and tried to force a kiss on me. I slapped him twice more. Holt, it's all in the past. How many times do I have to say it before you believe me? I don't love you anymore. I've let go, now you move on. Don't make me lose respect for you. Holt couldn't believe it. His eyes burned with anger. I don't believe it. I didn't want to argue anymore. Believe it or not, that's your business. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. I turned to leave. Holt's eyes were bloodshot as he grabbed me and tried to push me into the car. Come on. Come home with me. I'll pretend nothing ever happened between you and Steven. I held onto the door tightly, refusing to get in. Suddenly, a sharp breaking sound. Steven jumped out of the driver's seat and punched Holt to the ground. Who do you think you are? How dare you touch her? 09. The two men struggled fiercely. Snow continued to fall from the sky. I didn't know how long they fought. All I could hear was a ringing in my ears. Using all my strength, I finally separated them. I stood firmly in front of Steven, shouting at Holt. Holt, have you caused enough trouble? Blood dripped from Holt's mouth, but he smiled bitterly. Amy, you're protecting him. Do you even know what you're doing? I'm the man you loved for 10 years. He only loves you because you were mine. He's just playing with you. Wake up. Stephen clenched his fists, ready to attack Holt again. Who the hell are you calling a player? In the end, I stopped Stephen. Stephen, let me handle this. Stephen hesitated but nodded. I helped Stephen to his car and then walked back, stopping about a meter away from Holt. With my coldest tone, I said, Holt, I'm wide awake. I've never been this clear. Stephen is my man. From now on, you're not allowed to hurt him. If you do, I'll beat you every time I see you. Without looking back, I got into the car and drove away with Stephen. Even after the car was far away, Holt stayed frozen in place. Snow landed on his face, eyelashes, and clothes. He looked like a snowman. He didn't yell. He didn't lose control. His fists clenched tightly, then relaxed. In the rearview mirror, I could sense him holding back his emotions. Holt, it's over between us. The moment you left me at your wedding, it was over. You lost me. I hope you take care of yourself and stop shamelessly bothering me. 10. Back in the apartment's living room, I pulled out a first aid kit from under the coffee table and started cleaning Stephen's wounds. He let out a hoarse groan. You still feel pain? Why didn't you say earlier? Stephen chuckled, not upset. Stop laughing, what's there to laugh about? Amy, has anyone ever told you that you look cute when you're angry? I nodded distractedly. I think you got hit in the head. You should see a doctor. Stephen smiled gently. Holt's injuries are worse than mine. So what? Does that mean you're justified in fighting? I jabbed at Stephen's bruises hard, and he winced but stayed silent. I sighed deeply, helplessly blowing on his wounds to soothe them. Just now you said I'm your man. My heart skipped a beat. Was that just something you said in the heat of the moment? Feeling guilty, I quickly added. It was just to deal with Holt, you know, nonsense. Stephen raised an eyebrow, teasing me. Oh yeah. Let's see how long you can keep that up. I hurriedly packed up the first aid kit and changed the subject. You were supposed to be on a business trip for a week. Why did you come back so suddenly? Stephen shook his phone. I sent you messages but you didn't reply. Called you but no answer, phone was off. Worried about you in the heavy snow, so I flew back. Luckily, the project there went smoothly, so I finished early. What a lame excuse. A week's project done in 3 days? Looking at the bruise under Stephen's eye, he must have been working non-stop. The partners probably worked him to the bone. But being cared for like this feels nice. Stephen looked at me pitifully. Amy, I got hurt tonight all because of you. I'm sleeping at your place, so you owe me. I threw a soft pillow from the couch at him. Get lost. No way. Stephen laughed, a competitive sparkle in his eyes. After all these days, don't you miss me? I clenched my shirt tightly, nervous, but still stubborn. I don't. I turned my head, avoiding his gaze, whispering. The next second, my body was lifted off the ground. The whole room spun. Stephen tossed me onto the bedroom bed. His kisses landed on every inch of my body. No more of that at home. If there is, then let's have a baby. 11. 3 days later. Joy sent me a friend request. I asked, what's up? The chat showed Joy typing, but after a long pause, it stopped. After a while, she finally messaged me. Amy, there's nothing between Holt and me. Don't overthink it. I found it ridiculous. Checking her moments, the photo of them holding hands was gone. Actually, it was all one-sided on my part. You're not my substitute. What's laughable is that this time Holt came to see me and was looking for your shadow in me. So, do me a favor and stop causing trouble with Holt. Was Holt sending her as a mediator? And the key point, Joy agreed. Two ridiculous people. I sneered, Joy, you're not innocent. If you liked Holt, you shouldn't have left him back then. If you respected me, you wouldn't have kept tangled with him all these years. I don't know what deal you and Holt have, but tell him that even without you, he and I would have eventually broken up. Joy's involvement just sped up the breakdown of my relationship with Holt. In the end, Holt always acted superior, never respecting, trusting, or cherishing me as his true partner. The balance of love between us tipped too far. A total loss was inevitable. Joy sent a sad, desperate emoji. Amy, I have late-stage breast cancer. I just wanted Cyan to spend more time with me. What did I do wrong? Though I left him first, I've been tormented by you two all these years. I'm tired of seeing your loving photos on social media. No wonder I got a terminal illness. So, karma exists. Justice is served. Your illness is the result of your tangled mind and your own choices. What does that have to do with me? A third party interfering, scheming, destroying others' relationships, and then playing the victim? I coldly replied, get treatment if you're sick. But Joy, you owe me an apology. After a long pause, Joy replied, sorry. But can you convince Cyan to visit me? He hasn't been responding, and I'm really breaking down. I took a screenshot of the chat, deleted Joy, and replied before leaving the conversation. Sorry, I can't forgive you. True repentance means not repeating mistakes. Her apology was just fear of pain, death, and loneliness. Such a person doesn't deserve forgiveness. Nor can I forgive her. 12. On Little New Year's Day, I was cleaning my apartment. Someone messaged me on WeChat. It was Holt's close friend. Amy, I hate you. Ha. After blocking all of Holt's contacts, he pulled this stunt. Holt, do you think this is funny? Silence from the other side for a long time. Amy, I love you. Can we start over? I told Holt he was crazy. He said I was heartless. Breakups are usually messy, leaving both sides awkward. There's no such thing as a clean break. Since Holt kept clinging and resenting, I decided to give him something to deal with. I forwarded my chat with Joy to him. A week later, Holt sent a video of him and Joy. I told you to apologize to Amy and explain things, and this is how you provoke her. Joy, when did I ever say I love you? If you hadn't claimed you were terminally ill, would I have softened and come to see you? Don't mistake kindness for love or try to stir up trouble between Amy and me. Joy was lying on a hospital bed, sobbing and gasping as she apologized to me. I bit into some juice, watching their fight with some satisfaction. Not long after, Holt contacted me again through his friend's WeChat. Amy, I know you're angry. I took that anger out for you. Can you forgive me now? What a joke. Why should I forgive you? Just saying sorry doesn't mean you can guilt-trip me into forgiving you. That's not how it works. Holt. Wounds can heal, but broken mirrors don't easily mend. Some things aren't worth clinging to. When he tried to video call, I hung up repeatedly. Before blocking him, I received a voice message from Holt's friend. Sis-in-law, the boss had a car accident. He's not doing well. Stephen came out of the kitchen wearing an apron, carrying a steaming bowl of egg noodles. Your favorite. Lots of scallions, cooked with garlic in the pan. But who had the accident just now? I slurped the hot noodles, burned my mouth, drank water carelessly, and said. Someone unimportant. Amy, after you finish eating, I'll take you somewhere. 13. I asked, is it far? Not far. Just next to your neighborhood. I nodded. On the way there, my phone was flooded with news. Holt had been in a serious car accident, critically injured in the ICU, and might never wake up. Amy, what are you looking at? I put my phone away and smiled softly. Nothing. But when I arrived at the place Stephen mentioned, I was shocked. It was a 120 square meter apartment filled with photos of me. From when I was 18 to 28. Photos of me with a ponytail and school uniform, riding a bike to school. Pictures of me secretly running a street stall, selling my own design jewelry. My first job, waiting for Holt at a restaurant, he didn't show up, and I cried while eating steak alone. Images of me with stomach bleeding, pale, receiving and 4 alone in the emergency room. All my food preferences. A wish bottle I buried in the yard of our old villa before the bankruptcy. I said I wanted to take the boy I love to see the northern lights someday. I heard making wishes on shooting stars can make dreams come true. There were too many memories, I lost count. My eyes filled with tears. I slowly crouched down and quietly wept. It turned out, someone had silently watched over me for 10 years, even when I couldn't see it. I had loved Holt humbly for 10 years. But someone had quietly guarded me all along. Amy, don't cry. You don't know, I'm most afraid of seeing your tears. Stephen gently lifted my head from my knees, wiping my tears with rough knuckles. So, we knew each other before? I was confused, my voice trembling with tears I couldn't hold back. Can't you really remember? I shook my head in confusion. Stephen pulled me onto the sofa and gave a comforting smile. It's not your fault. Back then, I was in such a bad place, I barely recognized myself now. He told me about a winter 10 years ago when I went to university in another city. At the train station, he saw a thin boy in school uniform, carrying a backpack, about to jump onto the light rail tracks. He saved me. At that time, my family had collapsed. My parents had committed suicide by jumping off a building. I went from a wealthy young man to a poor kid nobody wanted. I couldn't accept it. Life felt hopeless and confusing, I thought death would be easier. Then you appeared. You asked who bullied me. You said to fight back with your fists. I said life did, the cruel world. You smiled. You told me your family went bankrupt too, but you still grew up fine. You said even if the world bullies me, I have to slap it right back in the face. As long as I don't give up, as long as I'm alive, there's hope. I watched you board the train. You were about my age, but the sunset bathed you in golden light and suddenly gave me courage to live. I quietly stared at Stephen, my face already wet with tears. What happened next? Stephen said, after that, I went abroad and was adopted by relatives. They supported my university studies, and I managed to build a modest career. Many say I have some talent for business, but that's just from growing up with my parents. I swallowed the lump in my throat. You must have had a hard time all these years, right? Stephen shook his head. Not as hard as you. For years, I asked friends in China to check on you and collected photos of you. I planned to come back and marry you when I made it. But when I returned, it was too late. Holt was with you, you were about to marry him. So, I just watched quietly from the sidelines and wished you happiness. But damn, he didn't cherish you. He even left you alone at the wedding to look for another woman. Stephen said this through gritted teeth. Suddenly, he sighed deeply and tightly held my hand. As if afraid to lose me again. So, I don't know if I should hate him or thank him. I hate him for making you suffer, for your pain and tears. But I also thank him, because he gave me the chance to be with you. I cried uncontrollably, feeling confused and overwhelmed. I didn't know what to feel. At first, I thought Stephen's feelings were just lust or ambition. A man trying to conquer, since I was once Holt's woman. But I was also deeply touched. No one understood what it meant to love humbly and secretly for 10 years like I did. The carefulness, the trying to please, the feeling of holding something precious and fragile, afraid it might break or disappear. I sniffled, so, the engagement ring at the wedding, you had prepared it long ago? Stephen smiled and nodded, tears in the corners of his eyes. Amy, please forgive my long-planned love for you, okay? I leaned into his embrace, unable to hold back my emotions, crying deeply. What right did I have to blame him? A careless act of mine saved a lost boy. And he spent 10 years repaying me. So, who was whose destined match? In the end, I was the one who gained the most. Stephen gently patted my back, comforting me with steady strokes. Amy, shall we try? I looked up, tearful but nodded. Stephen, I think I will love you well. Once bitten by a snake, I feared ropes for 10 years. After being hurt by Holt, I thought no man was good. I wanted to lock my heart away. But Stephen, maybe you're worth it. I want to try. He wiped away my tears and kissed my forehead. I bought your parents' old villa. Next time it's your birthday, I'll be there with you. My parents died in a car accident on my birthday. For 20 years, I never celebrated it, because it was their death anniversary. Amy, Auntie, and Uncle wouldn't blame you. They wouldn't want you to be like this. From now on, every day with me is a new beginning, okay? Tears fell again. For more than 20 years, no one had helped me open this knot in my heart. Stephen gently held the back of my head, kissing each tear away. He carried me to the bathroom, took off my clothes, and washed my dry, sore face and every corner of my body. His kisses landed on my waist, slowly moving downward. Amy, I promise to make you happy for life, trust me. Amy, I love you. I love you too.